Hi there. In today's episode, we're going to dive into two questions. Is your imagination engaged today? And what is the picture it is creating for you? Welcome to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. Today is Friday, June 11th, and this is episode number 141 of the All Around Growth Podcast. Before we dive into those two questions, I'm going to go ahead and read from The Rudder of the Day, a book by Dan Miller, author of 48 Days to the Work and Life You Love. As always, great fodder for conversation, so let's get into it. Engage the imagination and the body will follow. If thinking precedes reality, where is your thinking leading you? Advertising wizard Roy Williams once said, "Engage the imagination, then take it where you will. Where the mind has repeatedly journeyed, the body will surely follow. People go only to places where they have already been in their minds." That's a quote by Napoleon. That's a quote by Roy Williams. Quote, "Imagination rules the world." That's a quote by Napoleon. Wow. Thus the power behind spending $2.3 million for a 30-second Super Bowl ad. Marketing people believe that if they can get us to imagine something, our actions and pocketbooks will follow. This principle can greatly enhance your life or destroy you. An affair of infidelity never takes place instantly. Rather, it is the fulfillment of where the mind has already been many times. Physical vitality or sports excellence comes only after seeing it happen in advance. Financial success or ruin follows being able to imagine it well before the actual arrival. Quote, "Most of my ideas belonged to other people who didn't bother to develop them." Thomas Edison. Career or business success follows being able to see it in advance. What do you see in your future? Do you see failure? Then it will surely follow. Do you see success? Then nothing can stop you. Need a job? Do you see that companies are laying off and no one is hiring? Or do you see like the young man who got 6 job offers in 10 days in a specialized chemical research field with no experience and a very recent college degree? Want to start your own business? Do you imagine that 4 out of 5 new businesses fail? Or could you see helping single mothers find shared housing and in the process create a $144,000 income like Carmel Sullivan did? You can read more about that at www.co-abode.com. That's co-abode.com. Sounds surprisingly like the biblical adage, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Psalm 23, verse 7. Guard your thinking. Let it lead your body and actions to positive results. Quote, "He who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart, will one day realize it. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so you shall become." James Allen. And finally, from the Bible, we read, "Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. It is amazing to think about. Your workmanship is marvelous, and how well I know it." That's Psalm 139, verse 14. And again, the questions that we're going to get into and discuss on the morning commute are, is your imagination engaged today? What is the picture it is creating for you? Well, personally, my imagination, I feel like that's been stunted. And it's not ironic that this is showing itself in my life today. And maybe if you're listening, it's also not ironic that this is coming up as food for thought in yours. So, is your imagination engaged today? Has it been engaged recently? And if not, how are you going to do it? And why is this important? All right, I'm going to share with you why it's important for me and how it has come to this idea of imagination has begun to show itself more and more frequently. Now, in some episodes in the past, I'd made some references to working with a health coach. Now, this is a wonderful blessing that just happened, and the way in which this all went down was I have been a member of the 48 Days Eagles community since the beginning of the year. That's how I started off my 2021 year, was by participation in this community. And after some increased seizure activity, I had written something and shared it in the group. And someone who does coaching with people who deal with chronic conditions offered me 6 months of coaching at no charge for reasons that are beyond me. But nevertheless, I took advantage of it, and she's really encouraged me to make sure that I schedule time for fun in my life and in my schedule, and block out time for myself. And in doing that, that's really opened up the doors for the imaginative process to take place. And in this process, I've revisited some work that I'd done in the past, and it's allowed me to unpack some of the dreams that I first began writing about when I felt like I began working towards this life of, well, living the life of my dreams and working towards building the homestead of my dreams. I had no homestead at the time, but things have changed, and now I'm on a piece of land that I don't own, and that's neither here nor there, but I am working towards building the life and homestead of my dreams, much as I was in these writings in years past. And as I'm discovering this, I'm learning where my imagination was. I'm learning and rediscovering where it is now based on where it was and how it's changed, and utilizing that. Well, I feel like I'm still in the data collection process. I'd like to house all of this once I get this new computer built, and have all of this documentation easily accessible, all in one place, so that I can really begin formulating this plan of attack for the next 3 years, and that's my big winter goal is to formulate a 3-year plan. And that's where my imagination is taking me, which is a great segue into the next question, which is, what is the picture it is creating for you? And the picture that it's creating for me is the homestead. And before I go into detail about that, let me share with you the current situation that I'm in. I'm in my early 40s right now. I'm 43 years old as I record this on June 11th, 2021. And the living situation is a little bit unusual in that it is my parents and I are recreating a generational living dynamic that was commonplace many years ago, but isn't today. So I live with them. We each have our own living spaces. We each have our own privacy, but I live with them there at the homestead. And before anything was even built, while I was living in Southern California 10 years ago, during the holidays, we would talk about these dreams of one day living together and building the life and homestead of our dreams. And today, that has become the reality that is my life. And the picture that my imagination, being engaged, has created is basically the current reality that I'm in, except instead of heading to the day job, I'm recording a podcast, walking around the property perhaps, capturing the sounds of nature instead of a traditional studio podcast like so many people do. There's an element of this commute that I'd like to keep, but ultimately not having a morning commute and being engaged in many different ways that I'm generating income from the farm and homestead, where I am grounded there the majority of the time, except when I'm delivering products or making sales calls or doing whatever it is that I'm doing. The more I learn and the more I focus on people who are or focus on cultivating relationships with people who are doing this, the more confident I become. And that's a big part of the 48 Days Eagles community. I've left social media, like I've talked about in past episodes as well, and I guess that's actually somewhat incorrect. While I've left the major social media platforms, I've become more and more engaged with the 48 Days Eagles community. And one of the things on my to-do list is to share links with you about the community. And I'd really like to, I haven't done that yet because I'd like to do a standalone episode on that. But surrounding myself with people who have shared goals and ideals has really allowed me to think about these questions, such as my imagination being engaged in what the picture my imagination is creating looks like. And that's building the life and homestead of my dreams, and ultimately creating a life and creating work that allows me to live the life that I love on the homestead that I love with people that I love. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you like what you heard, I'd encourage you to check out the show notes for some resources. You can join the community at t.me/allaroundgrowth, or if you've got the Telegram app on your phone, computer, or tablet, you can search the groups for All Around Growth. And if you listen to the podcast through iTunes or Apple Podcasts, go ahead and follow the link in the show notes in all capital letters to click, rate, and review the podcast. That'll take you to Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Just log in, give it a rating. If you feel so inclined, give it a written review. It really helps the algorithms. It really helps move things forward and expand the audience and help more people see it and help the community grow even more. If you're not an Apple listener, that's cool. Just give it a rating on your podcast player of choice. But if you don't want to go through any of that nonsense, I can't say I don't blame you. Just share it with a friend or share it on social media. Go to the show notes, share it all there, see the links, check them all out. And there's also links to all episodes for easy access. And if you have a question, feedback, or anything like that, you can shoot me an email at allaroundgrowth@gmail.com, or better yet, join the community, t.me/allaroundgrowth, or if you've got the Telegram app on your phone, device, or computer, just search the groups for All Around Growth and you will find us there. As always, I sincerely appreciate you listening. There's a lot of content out there, and the fact that you've taken time out of your day to spend it with me and spend it with the All Around Growth community means a lot to me. I think these are interesting times that we are living in, and I think it's important to spend our time wisely. And by spending it with people of like mind, it definitely sets us up for success. And if you're listening to this, that's you. So join us, t.me/allaroundgrowth. Look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for listening. Like I said, I sincerely appreciate it. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.